Georges Adéagbo lives in Cotonou in the Republic of Benin. Language, writing, and knowledge from cultures he lives in, visits, and studies are the elementary parts of Adéagbo's universe. His view of the ABCs in the current exhibition results in a personal encyclopedia of things he has collected throughout his research in Berlin and Benin. He started in October 2019 and went on until the opening of the exhibition on February 1st in 2020. The title is inspired by the interviews ABC daire de Georges Adéagbo, a series of talks conducted by Claire Parnet, broadcasted on French television in 1988. Adéagbo's work lives from combining found objects and from reflecting on hidden networks. From Benin, he brings sculptures, masks, and newspapers which enter into conversation with Western objects. The results are endless chains of associations in form of space-filling assemblages. He often compares his installations to a courtroom in which many witnesses testify to the facts of a case, and the observer ultimately makes their own judgment. How does the preparation for such an exhibition happen? To get a better understanding, Barbara Wien visited Adéagbo in his hometown Cotonou before his first solo show in her gallery in 2014. His home is outside the city, near the seaside. On his property there are several little houses. One house for his material collection, one for his library and private rooms, and a small house for guests. In those days, his property was situated in a coconut grove. Wonderful to look at, yet the neighbors started to cut down the trees and sell their land to investors. The terrace in front of Adéagbo's material storage is a working place, which in the evening becomes a place for dinner. A small kitchen is nearby. While making an installation in the sand of his garden, he sits regularly on his terrace and writes. He often sits next to the young man who transfers Adéagbo's collages and writings and paintings. His name is Esprit Petit Frère. His older brother, who called himself Esprit, was the first painter who collaborated with Adéagbo. When he died, the little brother, Le Petit Frère, took his place. He is a sign painter as well, and transforms the text and images which Adéagbo selected into small canvases and banners on vinyl. Together with sculptures which Adéagbo buys on the market or orders from carpenters, the paintings are shipped to the location in which he is invited to exhibit. Later, Adéagbo lives for several weeks in the city of his upcoming exhibition, and the process continues. He collects, reads, buys books, and combines the African artifacts with the newly found things, be it in Cologne, Jerusalem, Stockholm, or Berlin. Adéagbo works every day from the early morning to the evening to give form to his reflections on daily events and general thoughts about art. He does this everywhere, in Cotonou, in his part-time home Hamburg, on his various travels all over the world, and in every hotel room, flat, or other accommodation. In fact, there is no day without research, and Adéagbo is constantly looking for new material. One day during the visit in Cotonou, a typical scene happened. While driving to the city, Adéagbo saw a teddy bear lying on the street, already badly hurt by dozens of cars passing over it. He insisted on stopping, ran back, and picked up the bear. It is now in a vitrine and part of the work, Les Artistes et l'Écriture. Stefan Köhler, Adéagbo's curator and friend, writes about him as a collector, who creates large archives both in his studio in Benin and in Hamburg. Over decades, he has accumulated books, masks, and sculptures that serve as references to measure the additional value of new pieces of evidence. And he adds, however, his mental archive is his biggest resource. Adéagbo knows both local tales, Aesopian fables, the Old and New Testament, the Fa divination practice, the powers of various orishas, and the symbolism of their attributes, but also knows the history of the rivaling kingdoms of the Dahomey. He remembers his childhood in the colonial era, and the details of almost all African states struggling for independence by heart. Adéagbo was born in 1942 in Benin. He studied law and business administration in Abidjan and Rouen from the late 60s until returning to Benin in 1971. The death of his father and resulting family issues forced him to stay. He lost his independence for nearly 23 years. He had no passport to travel and was stuck in Cotonou. Köhler writes, he pursued combining things for his own research. At the same time, he wanted to give thought-provoking impulses to his relatives and neighbors. He had not visited exhibitions while studying in France, and had no knowledge about objets trouvés, ready-mades, or collages. In 1993, a traveling curator, Jean-Michel Rousset, walked into his family compound downtown Cotonou by accident. He presented the photos he took of what he saw as art to his colleagues in France, which led to Adéagbo's first exhibition in 1994. Adéagbo says he never intended to produce art while developing his practice over the years in solitude in Benin. Until today, he says, I am not an artist. It is not the artist who makes the art. It is the art which makes the artist. Art is in nature. For him, art is a mirror in which you can see yourself just as you are.